Hey there, this is Cedric. So first off, thank you for purchasing your reading. I'm looking at your email right now, and your first question is, what should I do in order to become more in tune with the universe? Let's pull some cards and find out. Oops. Okay. So first off, relax. Second, so meditation is the main thing. Meditation. That is the number one way to kind of get yourself in tune with your environment and with reality. The more you think, the more thoughts you have rolling through your mind, the thicker the layer of separation between you and reality becomes. And the less you think, the thinner it becomes. And supposedly, if you can stay in a state of non-thought for long enough, you can begin to merge your mind with the mind of the universe and such and such esoteric stuff. I don't know if that really leads to that, but I do know that meditation does help to relax. It does help open up the channels so that more energy can flow, and it allows you to just sort of start understanding things a little bit more. You just kind of, the more you meditate, the more you allow energy basically to flow and come to your brain and get into your third eye and move through your chakras. You don't have to move it around yourself most of the time unless you're doing specific practices, but just relaxing enough and getting out of your own way to let things flow is really the key there. And so breath meditation really is the number one thing that a lot of people recommend. If you don't like that, you can always do single point meditation, which is when you sit in front of a wall. You literally sit a chair in front of a blank wall and you pick a point on that wall and you stare at it for like 20 minutes without breaking your gaze and without moving. It's tough. It's really hard, but it's really beneficial. It really works wonders on your mind and your willpower. But that's basically it. Whatever method of meditation is best for you is going to really help you the most. Beyond that, the idea of pursuing what you feel like is your purpose is going to help you really feel more in tune with the universe, because by fulfilling your passion and following what is most exciting to you, you are also following your purpose. Your purpose is your passion. It's the same thing. It's the thing you enjoy the most, really. The thing that you really feel most passionate about is your purpose in life. And so sometimes that first has to be, you dealing with your emotions so that you can do that thing that might be your purpose in life. So there's certain steps to it. But first, figuring out what you want to do in life is a huge step. And I know your last question here is, what is a good career for you? And that kind of ties into this whole thing to where I can't tell you that. If I could, it would defeat the whole purpose of you going through the process of discovering what is most important to you, because in discovering your passion and your purpose, you'd learn so much about yourself and what you really think about things. You become much more a solid individual because you know more about yourself, about what you're really thinking, about what you really think about things that maybe you've not thought to address before. So anyways, the idea here is first meditation, and then thinking about what it is that's most important to you, discovering what that is, experimenting with different things, different activities, seeing if they resonate with you. If they don't, drop it, try something else. You need to learn to follow your excitement. So meditation, following your excitement, and really just taking on this kind of more passive state, because really, if you are a divine being who is creating your own reality, which you truly are, then it's really your beliefs and your focus that dictates what it is you're creating, right? So if you were really a powerful being, you would not be somebody who goes out and tries to force things into place and make things happen in a nervous kind of way, because you have faith in your own power. You know how powerful you are. And so to embody that sort of mentality, this passive sort of mentality is like, well, you don't have to worry about stuff because you know that it'll work out. That's what faith really is. It's kind of a lack of doubt. It's a lack of negativity of like, oh, what's going to happen? Oh, I'm worried about the future. It's just thinking, all right, things are going to be okay, and I know they're going to be okay, and I'm going to just proceed in my life as if they are going to be, and they will be. It's much less about knowing what's going on, and I don't know how to phrase what I'm trying to say. It's not about what is as much as it is about what you can how you react to what is, and what kind of picture or energy you're projecting on top of what is currently in front of you and in your reality. The more you just pay attention to like, oh, this is this way and I don't like it, I wish this was different, then the more you just participate in that cycle of perpetuating that behavior and that sort of energy. You have to really just be able to get out of your own way, just kind of relax and recognize that you are creating your reality through an energetic means, and that reality is a reflection of who you are, and that you don't go up to the mirror and try to manipulate and force the mirror into smiling. You smile, and then the mirror smiles back at you, and that's kind of how life works. And the real journey here is figuring out, how do I smile at life even when things kind of suck? And when you do that, that's when things kind of stop sucking so much, and you learn the lesson, and you start projecting more positive energy and begin to build a more positive foundation for your life. That's really what this law of attraction kind of stuff is talking about. This is just a little bit more in depth, and kind of what you can do personally to more embody that a little bit more. Let's see, the next was, how will I know I can trust someone to love me? And then will Mark and you be closer as friends? So it'll basically be something where it won't be a choice. It's not going to be something like, oh, can I trust you? It's going to be like, not even a question. You're just into this person so much that you can't not trust. You don't have any distrust for them, I should say. So you don't need to worry about what I need to do to make sure that I can trust somebody. It's going to be that when you meet the right person, it's just going to be like, oh my God, you're so amazing. And then that thought of distrust just won't even enter your mind. So the Wheel of Fortune's kind of saying that this is a matter that's something that's sort of out of your hands, and that you don't have to force it. You don't have to worry about that, because that's not really your job to make sure that you can trust somebody to love you. You basically just go into the relationship. It feels right. You follow your resonance. And then if things start to turn into something that you don't actually want it to be anymore, then you follow your resonance once again, listen to your instincts, listen to your intuition, and then you leave and you go for something else. It's much more about following what feels right in the moment based on your actual feeling, your intuition, and your emotions, rather than just kind of projecting what you... I don't know. I think you know what I'm trying to say here. But when it comes to trust, yeah, it's not a matter of trying to force yourself into being able to trust a person again. Say you were in a relationship where somebody really badly broke your sense of inability to trust somebody, and now you're kind of worried about what's going to happen if I try to date somebody new. In that instance, it's kind of like, well, you're going to feel a little anxious at first, but basically the person that's going to... Like, you're not going to have that question. The person that's going to be right for you is not going to have you questioning whether or not you can trust them. It's going to be just this thing where you're like, wow, I love you. It's amazing. So, and then as a matter of, like, when this might happen, I can't really tell you either, because that's not how the future works. Everything's changing. Like I said, we create our own reality, and therefore everything is changing and shifting based on the fact that we're always changing and shifting. So we're always creating different outcomes. And so what the tarot really is more of a spiritual diagnosis tool to kind of tell you what the most likely outcome is based on the present energies of the situation. I know I get kind of wordy sometimes, but hopefully this is making sense. So will you and Mark be closer as friends? Let's see. It kind of seems like Mark is not a positive influence on your self-esteem and your sense of faith in yourself, which is really important right now. I kind of don't think so. I think that things might not really progress too far with you guys. And I wouldn't really push it. Seems like there's something that's just, it'll push it towards conflict. It'll push it towards defeat and fighting, basically. I don't think it's a good idea. I think that it's much more, and that this person doesn't really help your self-esteem at all. They have like this kind of air about them or an attitude about them that makes you question yourself, which is not really helpful for you. You need to have more confidence and faith in yourself and not be around somebody who makes you question yourself more. And that when this person is not influencing your life, we actually have the Queen of Cups, which is the sense of tranquility and peace. So I'm thinking that maybe really one of the core aspects to a lot of the things, like the underlying worry you might feel in your life, is actually from Mark's presence in your life. Not saying you have to kick this person out of your life, but I wouldn't pursue anything too far with them, because it seems like they might actually kind of move you in a backwards direction a little bit emotionally. So that's not really good. That's not what relationships are for. Although, unfortunately, that's usually what ends up happening. So I think that's pretty much that. What is a good career? Oh yeah, we already talked about that. I can pull a card to see maybe if there's a bit of guidance that can maybe point you towards the right direction. But like I said, there's no card that says start this kind of company at this time with these people, you know. Perhaps there are some people who can do that kind of stuff, but I am not one of them. Okay, so let me do one more time. Career. Yeah, it's all a matter of just finding what you like, finding what you enjoy, and going through the process of refining yourself in the process. Like I said before, it's all about finding clarity, the Ace of Swords, teamwork, working with other people. So this is not something that you need to isolate yourself to do. This is not something you need to do by yourself. This is going to involve other people as well. So maybe not starting your own business, perhaps. Maybe you'll find something that somebody else has already started that you resonate with. But the main thing is that you have to decide what you like more. And the more that you are led around by the nose by money, and the more that you chase money, the worse things are going to be. The more that you go after this sense of satisfaction and just kind of a sunny disposition and go after what actually makes you feel happy and brings you satisfaction in life, that's what's going to really bring you forward. And in order to find that, like the bridge from this money-oriented thinking to this kind of more spiritually, like emotionally fulfilled kind of thinking, we have temperance in between them, which has to do with discipline, work, kind of the grind, you know, the refining process, I guess is what I would call it. So anyways, hopefully this has been helpful for you. We'll go ahead and do a general reading now, and because that's the last of the questions that you sent me. And actually, I'm going to take a little break here and grab some water, and then we'll switch over to this general reading real quick. So 1 second, and we'll go ahead and switch over to that. All right, so now that we've answered your questions, let's go ahead and do a bit of a general overview. I've already pulled the cards out here so I could have a chance to sort of look at them and have an idea of what I'm talking about before we got into it. So, basically the star here in the center represents the center of the matter. And we can see here that this woman, she's got this star above her head. Well, she has many stars above her head, but there is one that is bigger than all the others. And this is kind of showing that this is recommending a sense of remembering that there is something above you. There is something beyond you and your understanding of reality, bringing to mind the source of all things, maybe God, the universe, whatever it is that you are most comfortable with understanding. Some people are afraid of that word God. I personally don't have a problem with it because I have learned to redefine that in my life. You know, religions and other people try to tell you what you should think about this idea of God. But I would invite you to create your own idea of how that works for you. And my own personal perspective here, and you know, the tarot is kind of an extension of this philosophy, is that all things extended from the one, the divine mind. All things are like a dream within the mind of God. And when you pray and when you bring that essence, that idea of the divine, the source of all things, when you bring that into your mind and you say a prayer, that actually, instead of thinking of that as asking some guy with a white beard up in the sky whether he'll help you out with something or not, and him deciding yes, no, maybe, instead think of it that as when you pray, you're actually calling this energy down to yourself, or up. You're raising up energy, is what they call it usually. But you're calling that God, that energy down to yourself by praising and exalting and saying, glorifying God, what in whatever capacity you're comfortable with. And by sending that gratitude and glorifying that entity or that being or that energy, you're calling that energy to yourself. And then what you do is you direct that energy through prayer. Again, the words that you're saying kind of takes that energy and encapsulates it within the words and allows it to go out and become manifest. So prayer really is kind of more like a magic spell than it is like anything else. And so this is really recommending that you could really benefit from such a thing. So you can either come up with your own way of doing this, or you can read, I find, and in my own practice, I find that reading the Psalms from the Bible is actually very effective. And you don't have to be a religious person to do this. You don't have to be Christian. I'm not a religious person. I'm not Christian. I just explain my view of the universe to you, in short. And I use it all the time because these things are actually extremely powerful. There's a lot more to, there's actually a lot of mysteries locked up and secrets locked away within the Psalms that you could actually spend a lot of time studying if you wanted to, or you can just accept that they work and just read them. Each one is for a different purpose. So one might be for helping you to find more capacity for self-forgiveness. One might be to protect you from somebody who's been trying to cause you trouble. One might be to remove negative energy from your environment. Another might be to bring you happiness or promotion at your job or more money or something like that. And you can actually find a list of these on the internet if you look them up. If you look up the magical uses of the Psalms, you'll actually find a list of purposes that you can read these things for, and you read them once or twice a day out loud. So you pick one that fits the purpose that you need, and you read it out loud once or twice a day for like 7 days, or maybe even 14 days, like 2 weeks, or however long you feel comfortable with. And you kind of just watch how things start to change, and you'll notice that things will start to change. Your quote unquote prayers will be answered, because you're not actually asking somebody to answer your prayer. You're actually creating change through using the mechanisms of the universe. And what actually is, it's a natural process. We're supposed to do this. We've just been convinced not to by modern society and people who have an interest in keeping you from discovering your own divine nature. Because you're easier to control when you're not powerful. So, you know what I mean? I think that's a different video for a different discussion. Anyways, let's move on here. So the first one we have here in the sequence of surrounding the situation, the Two of Swords. This is kind of saying that through this, peace can be restored. But mostly this is referring to your mind more so than your actual environment. But this is actually going to help you with your environment as well. You can find that material change does come about through this. But really what it does is it restores, you'll find that it'll restore peace of mind within yourself, which will then alleviate you from the need of need, emotional need. It'll alleviate you from the need to put on other people, to require them to fulfill you emotionally and make you feel happy. So, and the less pressure somebody else feels to make you happy, the better they enjoy being around you, because then they can just be themselves, and maybe you can help uplift them a little bit. So really this connection to spirit, this connection to God, if you ask the Native Americans what they think is wrong with modern society, they say that we have no connection to spirit. And that's what we're talking about here. That's what I'm teaching you to do, is to rebuild that connection, and because it's huge, it permeates into everything in your life. To the point where you may find that you don't have to do nearly as much in your life anymore, because a lot of things just start to alleviate themselves because of your regular prayer. And when you do these prayers, you're supposed to kind of approach it with a feeling of reverence, a feeling of adoration for the divine, like sending love and gratitude and appreciation for the source of all things, for whatever it is in your life. You can come up with how you want to do it, or read the Psalms, whatever you want to do. And really what this is saying here is that without that, you cannot complete the divine trinity, the triangle, the supernal triad, you could say. Well, that's something else actually, that's relating to something else. But anyways, the idea here with the Three of Swords is that the circuit can't be completed. The triangle is not completed until you incorporate this connection to spirit. It's like if you think of the lines of the triangle as representing three different aspects of life, one of those lines is going to be the divine. that might not be the best metaphor, but that's kind of what I think you get what I'm trying to say here, is that when you have a connection to spirit, it restores peace of mind, makes your relations better, and makes it so that you're able to help others and not need the help of others as much. It helps, and without this, not only does it uplift you, but without it, it's like there's like no hope really. And what this leads you to, when you don't have this connection to the divine, inevitably it leads you to the devil, escapism, materialism, self hatred, beating yourself up, just negativity in general, becoming very materially focused and getting caught up in the rat race and becoming really unhappy because of it, that kind of stuff. Without a connection to the divine, it's like you're automatically in the hands of the quote unquote devil, obviously not in a religious or like real sense of like a being who's gonna like, jump out and grab you or something. But this energy of the devil, of this ensnaring kind of energy that just keeps you, that makes you just become more and more selfish. Without a connection to the divine, you become more and more me. What do I need? What can I take? What can I consume? Who can help me? What can you do for me? That's the kind of mentality that comes about when you have no connection to spirit. And I think you can see that in the world today. It's everywhere. We are dominated by the energy that this card represents, this egotism that says, that it's okay to crush others or to do whatever it takes to get what you want. And that's kind of where this all leads. And then eventually what happens is that we have the death card here, which isn't necessarily meaning that, if you don't pray, you're going to die. That's not what I'm saying at all. The death card has to do with a letting go of an old identity, moving into a new space within yourself, becoming a new person. And not just becoming a new person, but becoming a happier person who feels more complete. Through, once again, we have the 3 here representing that completion of the triangle, the Trinity, of spirit, matter, and the divine, in the sense of spirit, like the microcosmic spirit within you, and then the matter which that spirit resides in, and then the divine, which is the power that is above you. Through all of this, you create the 3 of Cups here, which is a sense of fulfillment. It restores peace in the mind, helps fulfill your emotions, helps keep you from making bad decisions, and then also helps lead you to, as a natural consequence, the Page of Pentacles here leads you to this sense of satisfaction and finding something physical, an action that you can take, something you can build or work on in your life that you really highly value. And sometimes this can actually just represent a value of life itself, of just earthly things. You just become not materially focused or like a pure materialist, but you learn to appreciate those things from a different perspective. Instead of, it's like the difference between seeing a beautiful flower and appreciating it versus seeing a beautiful flower and cutting it and taking it home and having it die because you just had to have that thing for yourself. That's a metaphor for, what we're talking about here. And then in the end here, we have the Wheel of Fortune, which, that couldn't have been a more perfect card to sum up this whole thing, because that has to do with energies that are kind of beyond, that are out of your hands at this point. It's kind of, this Wheel of Fortune kind of embodies this whole concept that we're talking about here, because what happens when you apply this and you really gain a deep connection with spirit, with the divine, and you begin to understand more and more about the universe and your own place in it and who you are, you end up in a place where it's almost as if things just kind of start to happen on their own, because you put all this energy in motion. It seems like you don't have to put forward through nearly as much work. Things just kind of work out better. It's as if things just kind of are handed to you by these angelic beings sitting here. Hint, hint. So, really, I guess in short what I'm saying here is that if you really want to turn around basically every aspect of your life, start praying, honestly, in whatever capacity is most comfortable for you. Build your connection to spirit, and speaking the words out loud with a sense of reverence and adoration for that divine essence is the key there. That's the real key to turning it into a magical thing instead of turning it into a just reading kind of thing. The words are sort of like the container, and the adoration and the love you're putting out is the energy that fills that container, and those energized words go out into the universe and become manifest. They become like real objects in the astral realm that have no choice but to manifest as real things when you are able to do this. So prayer is super important, and you don't have to be religious. You can write your own. Again, use the Psalms if you want. If you want just a quick recipe for something that'll maybe change your mind a little bit about certain things, read Psalm number 51, followed by Psalm number 92. 51, and then 91, and then 92, and then maybe to finish it off, number 150. And they're all really short, except for 91's a little longer because it's meant to really banish all the negativity that's around you. It's actually, they call it like the anti-demon prayer, but it's really not just for demons. It's for getting rid of any negative energy that's surrounding you, any heavy, dark energies. So again, if you really want to just jump into the whole Psalm thing, like I recommend, because there's a certain power to that particular book in the Bible, 51, 91, 92, and 150. Read those in a row, once or twice a day, out loud, for seven days, maybe 2 weeks, and just watch what happens. Just see. Watch what happens to your mind. Watch what happens to the way that you think. Watch what happens to the way people treat you. Watch what happens to the way your daily activities start to change. It's really interesting. And really, and if you're doubting me and you're like, I don't know about this, Cedric, what are you talking about? You're telling me to pray? Really, what do you have to lose by trying? Okay, maybe you'll spend 5 minutes in the morning and in the evening reading these psalms, not poems, psalms, prayers. Maybe you'll spend 5-10 minutes a day doing that. And at the very worst, if it does nothing, then okay, maybe you wasted 10-20 minutes, or 5-10 minutes out of your day. Well, okay, big deal. If it does actually do what I am saying it does, and I promise you that it does, then the ramifications are huge. It might be able to change your entire life and actually lead you to real, genuine happiness. So this is why I like to do the general reading at the end, because very often when people ask their questions, the questions are what's on the surface, and they're not really seeing what's underneath the whole thing. And I like to do this to kind of give you an idea of what's under the surface that's affecting everything else. But then also answer your questions so that you have multiple angles through which you can approach your life. So, I think that pretty much sums it up. I think that's a pretty good little picture here. It has given you some practical advice to move forward in your life towards a happier space, and it's pretty general, and you can apply it in any way that you see fit. So, now that we've done that, it is time to ground our energy, because after doing these readings, whether you're the one performing the reading or receiving the reading, it is really important to ground at the end, because there just seems to be a lot of energy that gets raised up. And you probably noticed that throughout this whole thing I start talking faster and faster and faster, and it's because this energy just keeps being raised up over time as I do the reading, and it kind of messes with my sense of being rooted into the earth, into my body. And I think that kind of transfers into whoever's getting the reading as well. So let's go ahead and do a quick grounding real quick. Let me pull out a card that'll kind of help bring forward the energies that we're looking for here. Here we go, the Four of Swords. So you can kind of just look at the card or close your eyes and just kind of follow along with my voice. And I really advise you not to skip this part if you're thinking about it. It's really important. It'll only take a couple minutes, and you'll feel awesome afterwards. So go ahead and close your eyes, or just kind of fix your eyes on this card here. And begin to take a few deep breaths. And we're going to start with a little bit of rhythmic breathing to kind of get ourselves in the same rhythm. So we're going to inhale for a count of 4, and then hold for 4, and then exhale for 4. So I'll count it off. So inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold. Go ahead and just continue that on your own. And you can kind of let go of the counting as you see fit. And you should notice that you just kind of feel a little more relaxed. In fact, begin to consciously relax all of your muscles. Just let go of the tension in your body. Just with an out breath, just let it all go. And then begin to focus on the bottom of your left foot. And just bring your awareness to the bottom of your foot and just feel all the sensations there. Feel all the fibers of all the muscles. And begin to imagine that you're drawing a golden energy up from the center of the earth. That when you breathe in, it just draws this energy up effortlessly. It just comes up super easily. You don't have to force it. As soon as you imagine it, it's there. And as you're bringing this golden energy up through your left foot, and this energy relaxes every muscle it touches as it moves through your foot. Relaxing the toes, relaxing the arch of the foot, moving around the heel and the outside of the foot, over into the top of the foot, relaxing the ankle, moving up into the calf, relaxing the shins, the muscles around the shins, relaxing the muscles around the knees, around the left knee, around the bottom of the knee, behind the knee, on top of the knee, all around the knee. There's a lot of weird little muscles there that can get really tense. So just let them relax for a second. Just leave your awareness there. Just be very gentle in your visualization here. You don't have to force anything. Just leaving your awareness on parts of your body causes it to relax and brings you to the present. Because your body is always grounded in the present moment. So if we focus on our body, our mind becomes grounded in the present as well. So continue moving on up through the left thigh, relaxing all the muscles as it moves all the way up. Relaxing every fiber of every muscle, releasing all the tension that you feel. Moving up into the hip, into the left hip, kind of encompassing the left side of the lower back. And spend just an extra couple of seconds here paying attention to this, just leaving your awareness on this spot, because this is where we store a lot of tension and unprocessed emotions. And go ahead and continue moving on up through the left side of the abdomen, relaxing the stomach, relaxing the muscles surrounding the lower back, moving up into the chest, into the left part of the chest, and the top of your left shoulder. This golden energy is just filling that space in your body, relaxing all the muscles. And then it begins to spill down through the left arm, down from the left shoulder, into the biceps and triceps, relaxing and soothing them, down into the elbow, through the forearm, down into the wrist, out into the palm and the fleshy part of your thumb, and out into your fingers. And just take an extra second to relax the tension in your hands and fingers, because the tension in your hands and fingers actually connects to just about everything else in your body. Now bring your awareness back up to the left shoulder, and continue to bring that energy up through the left side of the neck now. Relaxing, soothing that part of this neck where the muscle connects to the skull. And then moving up into the head, relaxing the muscles in the head around the skull on the left side. The muscles beneath your hair follicles that we forget about most of the time. Just to let them relax. The muscles around your ears and in your jaw. And allow that energy to continue to fill your head until it begins to spill over into the other side of your head, into the right side of your brain and the right side of your skull. The muscles on top of your head, down into the right ear, into the right side of the jaw, down into the right side of the neck, down through into the shoulder. Then we're going to go down the arm again, down through the right arm, through the tricep, down through the bicep, relaxing everything it touches. Relaxing the elbow, relaxing the forearm, down into the wrist, into the palms, into the fleshy part of your thumb, the joints in your fingers. Take just a second to let your hand relax. Come back up to your shoulder on the right side and start moving that energy down through the right side of your chest and the upper back, down into the stomach and the abdomen, into the right hip. And again, take just an extra second to pay attention to the hip and let go of all those emotions and the built up tension that we hold in there, and just take an extra second to just leave your awareness and pay attention to that part of your body. You may feel some slight twitching in the muscle fibers as you do this in certain parts of your body, and that's a sign that that muscle is fatigued and it's used to being stretched out and tensed up too much. And when you relax it, it starts to twitch. So that's a good sign. It means that the energy is going where you're trying to direct it, and it is actually affecting that muscle. So if you feel a random twitching, that's good. That's a good sign, as long as it doesn't feel uncomfortable or hurt in any way. And continue to move on down through the right side of the leg, down through the thigh, into the kneecap. And be sure to relax all those muscles surrounding the knee, on the top, the sides, the bottom, the back of the knee, down through the right calf and shin, all the muscles surrounding the shin, down into the right ankle, spilling into the heels, and then into the arches of the foot, relaxing all the tension in the foot, out into the toes. And then imagine that energy moves back down into the earth, down to the center of the earth from where you first pulled it up. So now we've created a bit of a circuit. You're pulling energy up through the left and pushing it down through the right. And you don't have to force this flow. It happens automatically when you create this connection with your mind. So now we've grounded our energy and our mind within our bodies. We've connected with the earth, and now the energy is flowing. And you can sit here and just feel this sensation for as long as you like. Thank you for watching. I hope this has been helpful for you. Sit in this meditation as long as you want. Return to this practice as often as you like. This is something you can do as often as you want. You can't do it too often. And it'll always bring you back to this kind of sense of peace and centeredness and calmness. So, thanks for watching. I hope this has been helpful for you. If you want to schedule another reading, feel free to let me know, and we can set that up, and we can answer any other questions you have. So, thanks again, and take care. I'll talk to you soon.